Hi, I'm Johnny, and this is Off the Beaten Trail, and today I'm taking you to the Cherokee Rock Village located within Cherokee County, Alabama. So, Cherokee Rock Village sits on top of a large outcropping on the southern end of Lookout Mountain overlooking Weiss Lake. So in some of my previous videos, I talked about Lookout Mountain. I took you to the canyon, the Little River Canyon that sits on top of Lookout Mountain. It is a beautiful location, and the mountain itself goes within from Alabama all the way into Tennessee. And I really think that it's definitely a place to come and visit whenever you visit Alabama and to see all of the beauty that surrounds this mountain. Now, this particular spot that is known as Cherokee Rock Village sits all the way at the end of the mountain, and it has some of the best views on the mountain. Now, what makes this park so unique are the large rock formations that sit directly on top of the mountain that overlook the lake. And so what is so amazing about this location is the fact that this is an extremely unique place to rock climb due to these rock formations. And that is what this park is known for. That's why people come to visit this park. A lot of professional rock climbers rock climb these walls, and it is a really cool place to get some experienced rock climbing in. They have guided rock climbing tours for people that are not experienced with rock climbing, and you can find out information within like a website whenever you look up this area, and I'm sure that they can help you find guides that can teach you how to rock climb and that can show you how the safe way to do it, that has a lot of safety procedures for people that are beginners. But this is actually a really unique location, and it's really amazing for rock climbing. People travel all across the country to come to this area and to check out the scenic overlook and to climb these rock walls. And so on top of that, if you didn't want to rock climb, they have trails, and it's very similar to a canyon. A lot of different gorges are within these rock fixtures. So as you walk throughout these trails, it's like you're walking in alleyways in the city, but these alleyways are carved through rock, and it's really amazing. Predominantly, the reason why people go here are because of the rock climbing experiences they can achieve here that you can't really get throughout other areas within the United States. And one thing that is really cool about this location is that Matthew McConaughey in Failure to Launch actually rock climbed these very rock walls. If you go back and watch that movie and you notice that he's rock climbing, and it's a really funny scene where there's a chipmunk comes out and bites him and attacks him, that's actually at the location that I'm taking you to today. That's the location that you're going to be seeing. So when it comes to my experience here at this location, I am someone that does have a lot of experience when it comes to rock climbing, and I am someone that has rock climbed multiple different surfaces without any type of harnesses and without any type of equipment. I've been rock climbing since I was a child. I have rock climbed within Tennessee. I've rock climbed within Arkansas up the face of cliffs and mountains, and I have a lot of experience doing it. However, I do put myself at a very great risk when I do these things. This is more of an at your own risk type location. So, you know, if you do have the experience and you feel comfortable doing what you're capable of doing, then, you know, who is anybody to stand in your way? They don't have any signs saying that you can't do anything without the proper equipment. But I do want to say, you know, it really isn't wise, because this area really is very treacherous, and it's very easy to lose your footing in different areas, and there are a lot of steep falls over 100 foot that could really injure you. But another thing that I will say about that is that some areas are more acceptable to rock climb on, and you know, I talked about bouldering in some of my older videos where I just kind of like boulder alongside the edge of a short cliff, a cliff that's about my height, and you know, climb up that area. And you know, that's a good way to practice. It still has risks involved, but a lot of children do happen to do that because they enjoy climbing on things. But just know that you have limits, and this area can be relatively dangerous. So the Cherokee Rock Village is located within Cherokee County, Alabama. Cherokee County has a population of about 26,000. Its largest city is Center, which has a population of about 3,000. Center is about 20 minutes from Cherokee Rock Village by car. There they have a few places to eat and stay. It's a beautiful location. It's directly on the Weiss Lake. I pronounced that a little bit wrong, and I still don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. I just heard it off of the internet. But that lake is really beautiful. I already did a video on the Yellow Creek Falls, which feed into that lake, and there's a lot to explore around that area. So it's definitely a great location to stay with your family. The Cherokee Rock Village is about 1 hour and 40 minutes southeast of Huntsville, 1 hour and 30 minutes northeast of Birmingham, and 1 hour and 25 minutes southwest of Chattanooga by car. There actually is an area where there's a lot of cliffs, and there's not really any type of warning. And these cliffs are about 3 feet apart from each other, and there's a little canyon that drops down about, 100 foot to 50 foot. I'm not really certain about the height of all of these different locations, but one thing that I know that I did, because I'm a good climber, is I jumped from one side to the other side. However, I would not recommend doing that at all, because the footing is very difficult, and it could have been very easy for me to lose my footing and slip and fall into this cliff. But, I being myself, I did go ahead and jump from one cliff to another cliff, and I did climb up a lot of these rocks. But one thing I want to mention is an experience that happened as I was, doing this. So for me, this location was like a giant playground. And as I'm walking around these rocks and jumping from, one cliff to another cliff and climbing up the sides of the cliff, very similar to Tarzan. I've actually had Tarzan references, because a lot of people are like, he does crazy stuff on the mountain like Tarzan, and he jumps from one cliff to another cliff. And it doesn't matter where I go, I just have a lot of energy, and I love to run, and I love to climb on things like a child. I have this child heart, this child inner self that I love to, let out whenever I go out in nature and do things like this. And, I love to trust my instincts. And so as I am doing this, I'm coming back from a location, and I'm on one side of the cliff, and then all of a sudden I see this little boy on the other side of the cliff, and I'm thinking, this is not a safe location for a child of any age, because that cliff drops down, very deep. It drops down at least 50 feet. And before I know it, his dad comes walking up, and his dad has no idea that there's just a cliff right there. And so I'm on one side, and I'm just looking at this kid, and he's walking slowly to the cliff, and then the dad realizes it's a cliff, and it's a deep cliff. And the child is just staring and slowly walking closer, and the father's like, "Stop! Stop! What are you doing? Don't come near that cliff! Don't go near it! What are you doing? This is not safe! This is not safe!" Then the man looks over at me, and he's like, "This is not safe for children, is it? This is not a safe location." And I'm like, no, it's not a safe location. And I'm just looking at them, and I'm like, what are you doing? Okay, so I want to stop, and I want to credit this man, and I don't want to say he's a bad parent at all. I definitely want to stop and acknowledge that there are no signs around that say that this is a dangerous location, and that there's just a gigantic cliff out of nowhere that drops down. And the parking lot was not very far away, so it makes a lot of sense that he would not have known what was going on. And he was a very good distance away from his child, and his child is slowly tiptoeing toward the cliff. And as this is happening, I don't know what's about to happen, and I'm like, hoping that nothing happens to the child. But like, the man's yelling at the child, no, no, do not go near the cliff. And the child's like slowly just inching. And then the mom and other children come out, and they're like, what are you doing? Stop, stop. Why is he over there? And he's just slowly, like, they're telling him to stop and turn back, and he wanted to see that cliff. And that's the thing about children. They want to do what they want to do, and for some reason he wanted to get closer, and it wasn't level ground. And so then slowly, he's inching forward, and the father slowly moving closer to him so he can grab the child and remove the child from the cliff. But it was a very insane experience, and it was something that you don't witness that every single day. It does go to show you, though, how dangerous these cliffs can be. It does go to show you that when you bring your children out here, you need to make sure that you're watching them. And it also, I'm happy that the child did move away from the cliff eventually. The father did take him, and then they asked me where some trails were that were less dangerous. And I told them ways that they could get down there where you wouldn't have to focus on, grabbing your child because he's trying to run towards the cliff, because he wants to see how deep it is. And then I'm going to go ahead and talk about myself. Once the child moved away from the cliff and they all, did their own thing, I went ahead and jumped back over the cliff, because that's how I got over there in the first place. And, if I was the child's size, I probably wouldn't have been able to clear that cliff. But I am going to say, I put myself at my own risk, and I know that my mother would be like killing me. And if I was that child's age and I was doing something like this, I probably would have got my butt torn up, because, my mom didn't put up with stuff like that. And I'm sure that when she sees this video, she's not going to be very happy that I did any of this. And I'm sorry, Mom. I really am. I love you. That I do reckless stuff, and I think this might be the most reckless thing that you might see me do on YouTube. I don't know, but I mean, I'm safe. You've seen me since this video, and you know that I'm okay. Okay, so I'm about to take you to see more of these rock climbing experiences. But before I do that, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, so that way I can take you to a new location each week. Okay, well that's all for the Cherokee Rock Village. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share with your friends. And if you thought this was an amazing location, comment below. I will see you next week when I take you to the Nakalula Falls in Etowah County, Alabama.